Hello students, today we are going to see about a very interesting topic, parenting styles, overprotective, authoritative, authoritarian and permissive. Parents express various styles of interacting with their children. These styles of parenting are on a range and include degrees of demandingness and of responsiveness. The demandingness trait refers to high behavioral expectations towards the child, whereas the responsiveness trait refers to warmth and supportiveness. Parenting styles have a huge impact on the behavior of a growing child. Research shows that parenting style could contribute to the association between behavioral inhibition and behavioral problem. Parents, as primary caregivers, exert a significant influence on the development of their visually impaired child's present and future emotional health, personality, character, well being, social and cognitive development, and academic performance. Parenting style is an essential determinant of visually impaired children's coping skills and the visually impaired child's behavior towards adults. Parenting style also influences how a visually impaired child copes with stress and stimuli. Let us see four types of parenting styles: overprotective, authoritarian, permissive, and authoritative. Overprotection. Overprotective parents generally want to protect their children from harm, from hurt and pain, from unhappiness, bad experiences and rejection, from hurt, feelings, failure and disappointments. Overprotective parents often prevent their children from trying new activities such as discovering the joy of climbing and safe risk-taking adventurous playgrounds. Many sporting activities are discouraged, along with social activities, which would include opportunities for gaining social competence. One of the main characteristics in parents of children with visual impairment is the excessive overprotection. This will hinder the child's decision making ability and the coexistence with other people. In fact, many of the fears and passive attitude of the visually impaired adult were promoted and learned within his family. But the imbalance in children with visual impairment in relation to the characteristics of his family environment is not limited only to the academic success, but it is also manifested in both externalizing and internalizing behavior problems. The Bowman's theory, which explains that the relation between parenting styles and children behavior is reciprocal and bidirectional, is especially relevant when we talk about variables such as parenting stress or the support received in parenting practices. In fact, it seems to be that parents with visually impaired children have higher level of stress and lower levels of support received, which can be related at the same time with behavioral problems and socio-emotional problems in their children. Overprotection may limit the ability to experience meaningful physical interactions with the environment for students with visual impairments. Environmental experiences through movement play is a key role in developing self-regulation and self-determination. Instruction in orientation and mobility promotes purposeful movement through planned environmental exploration. Learning these skills teaches the student the skills necessary for independence. Minimal motivation in the development of self-determination skills may occur if all experiences and interactions are mitigated by parental intervention. Unless a child with visual impairments explores and learns of their own accord by reasons of all needs being met. Parental overprotection may discourage purposeful movement by limiting self-determination because an infant may have no motivation to reach out and find their favorite toy as it always placed in their hands. Students with visual impairments with parental overprotection tend to have similar social networks and less supportive from classmates when compared to their peers. Overprotectiveness and lower expectations of parents and teachers contributed to the formation of sedentary tendencies among children with visual impairments. Students with visual impairments are inclined to be more dependent on family members for needs, therefore making this population less likely to be extroverted, limiting socialization. Next type of parenting style is authoritarian, a parenting style that requires strict obedience by a child. Parents are demanding and seek control of their children's behavior. Punishment is often given for disobedience. As a result of this style, children may become obedient, respectful, and compliant, but they also may become resentful and unhappy and have low self esteem and impaired social competence. Authoritarian parents are more controlling of their kids. In examining the relationship between parenting style and adolescent visually impaired students' school performance, authoritarian parents was found negative correlation. Visually impaired children having strict parents may possess poor social skills and are incapable of socializing with friends. These kids have a low level of confidence and cannot express feelings. They are submissive to authority and leaders. As parents are always tell children what needs to be done, they lack decision making ability. They do not listen to their intuition. Blind children in authoritarian parenting are often confused about what is right and what is not. They develop a passive attitude towards their role in their life and do not take overall responsibility. Visually impaired children of authoritarian families are less creative as they do not attempt to do things in an innovative manner. They cannot explore or act independently in their life. They develop the fear for punishment if things are not done as expected. The fear always restricts them from experimenting or doing something creative. Visually impaired children from authoritarian families tend to exhibit aggressive behavior as they are compelled to perform tasks that they do not like to do. They may get depressed and turn rebellious when they reach adolescence. The consistent overruling makes the child feel that their decision or opinion does not matter, leading to low self esteem and inferiority complex. Such children tend to suffer from a constant fear and pressure from parents, compelling them to perform every activity accurately. Parents insist that they succeed in every phase of their life, but tasting failure is important for kids to learn from mistakes and perform well the next time. The children become mentally rigid. They don't understand that people have different shades. They see people as they are good or bad. They do not tolerate different opinions. Blind children having authoritarian parents think that hiding their feelings make them less vulnerable to punishments. They tend to suppress emotions. They do not trust genuine intentions or affections or emotions as they are used to earn love by living up to the set rules. This may impact relationships which need intimacy or honesty. They think that negative emotions are not acceptable and may create a wrong self image. This may lead in immense anger or depression that arises out of suppressing their emotions. They consider verbal or physical power attractive. They assume that showing power on those who are weaker or inferior may help them. Authoritarian parenting style is associated with drug use and juvenile delinquency. Research indicates that visually impaired children from authoritarian families are poor in academic performances, social or cognitive competence, and psychological well-being. The next type of parenting style is permissive. A parent who exhibits this style is lenient and easygoing. He or she rarely gives a punishment and is very accepting and nurturing. A permissive parent allows children to make their own choices and tries to be the child's friend. As a result, children of permissive parents often rank low in happiness and self regulation scores. These children are also more likely to experience problems with authority and tend to perform poorly in school. Parents experience less stress and confrontation by letting children do whatever they want. In case of blind students, their parents were found to be more permissive and over concerned about their safety. According to the blind students, though their parents did not subject them to any different or comparisons, their relatives often made unnecessary comparisons. This caused depression and lowered their self-confidence. Thus, home or family for the blind students was supportive and permissive, which had positive impact on their psychological makeup. In examining the relation between parenting style and adolescent visually impaired students' school performance, permissive parents was found negative correlation. Research has also suggested that visually impaired children raised by permissive parents display low achievement in many areas because their parents have little to no expectations of them. These kids have nothing to strive toward. Studies have linked permissive parenting to lower academic achievement, make poor decisions, since their parents do not set or enforce any type of rules or guidelines. These kids struggle to learn good problem solving and decision making skills. display more aggression and less emotional understanding because they do not learn to deal with their emotions effectively, particularly in situations where they do not get what they want. Children with permissive parents may struggle when faced with stressful or emotionally difficult situations, unable to manage their time or habit because of the lack of structure and rules in the home. These kids never learn limits. This might lead to watching too much television, playing too many computer games, and eating too much. These children never learn to limit their screen time or eating habits, which can lead to unhealthy habits and obesity. Because permissive parenting involves a lack of demands and expectations. Children raised by parents with this style tend to grow up without a strong sense of self discipline. They may be more unruly in school due to lack of boundaries in their home, and they may be less academically motivated than many of their peers. Since these parents have few requirements for mature behavior, children may lack skills in social settings. While they may be good at interpersonal communication, they lack other important skills such as sharing. The next type of parenting style is authoritative, a parental style that seeks balance between helping children make good choices and offering guidance and discipline. It respects the child's self will but balances it with disciplined conformity. Positive parenting requires frequent eye contact, use of positive affirmations rather than criticism, seeking to understand the child and responding immediately. As a result of this style, children often develop into happy, self confident, capable, and successful adults. Mothers with authoritative parenting have strong evidence in improving self esteem of visually impaired child. Parenting style is important to habit learning self control. Research shows that children having authoritative parents display more self control throughout their lives. Cardinal and D'Allora performed a study on visually impaired young adults, and the most frequenting parenting style was authoritative. Yeah, adolescents who perceived the authoritative parenting style felt less loneliness, had more friends and social support. In examining the relationship between parenting style and adolescent school performance, authoritative parents first found positive correlation. Visual impairment was found to produce moderate to severe restrictions in the performance of social roles, work, schooling, leisure activities, family life, and friendships, which in turn threatens quality of relationship with friends and family members. However, considerable research evidence shows that perceived authoritative parenting styles had positive impact on the psychological makes of visually impaired children. Authoritative parents can avoid unpleasant situations with their visually impaired children at home. Children are not rude and parents are not harsh. They have an open talk on continuous issues rather than shout at each other. The positive environment at home adds to the development of the child into a better human being who is sensitive towards others. There is a balance between love and discipline. Parents take care not to treat their children so much that they are spoiled. Visually impaired children are motivated to work hard and attain better results as authoritative parents encourage them by being supportive. They recognize the effort the blind child puts in and measure his success by his sincerity to perform and not by the final result. Visually impaired children of these type of parents will learn to be self-confident when they grow up. They will know how to say no without hurting others because they have seen their parents doing that to them. They take control of the situation as they are confident about dealing with it. Authoritative parents do not resort to extreme punishments if the child deviates from the path, but they also do not ignore his deviations. Instead, they discipline him positively in such a way that the message is delivered, but the child is not battered emotionally. This helps in making the child realize his mistakes. Parenting evolves over the years as the adults learn from their mistakes and correct their actions. It also changes as the child grows from a toddler to a kid and then to a teenager. There is a flexibility in their approach to have age appropriate expectations. Authoritative parents need to be very careful to ensure that the situation is not slipping away. In the absence of a right balance, your parenting could become too lenient or strict, neither of which could good for the child. Here are few disadvantages of authoritative parenting. In authoritative parenting style, giving visually impaired children a lot of importance and seeking their opinion on everything could make them feel too important to listen to you. They could develop overconfidence leading to revolt at home by the time they are teenagers. Authoritative parenting could put additional burden on parents as they need to set a procedure for every situation and before doing it, consult their children. There are several decisions before any decision is taken, which could be time consuming too. This parenting style assumes that children are as pleasant as their parents. It may not be this case always, as visually impaired children could be stubborn, rude, and arrogant because of several external influences such as their friends and experiences in the school and society at large. Society often assumed that parenting came naturally and parents just knew what to do when it came to discipline, nurturing, toilet training, esteem building, and so on. This perception is slowly changing. Today's parents are quicker to acknowledge that they don't always have the answers or that they do not want to raise their children as they were raised. Social changes have made it more difficult to rely on parenting techniques from the past. The root cause of the most of the mental health problems of visually impaired children and adolescents are related with parenting styles adopted in their families. So the parents should be more aware of the different parenting styles and their impacts on visually impaired child's development. The impact on social changes on childhood and parenting styles needs to be further examined. Nowadays, the parenting styles are different from those early existed ones. At early times, the lower and working class parents tend to stress obedience and respect for authority, be more restrictive and authoritarian, more frequently using power assertive discipline and show less warmth and affection. Meanwhile, the upper and middle class followed the authoritative or permissive parenting styles. However, the modern families are giving more freedom and relaxed discipline practices to their children, irrespective of their income. The parenting style needs change according to the social changes. Awareness regarding parenting style is very important in modern parenting. Even most of the functions of the families have been taken over the other societal institutions. Parents remain the major socializers of the visually impaired children. Thus, their style of parenting has important consequences for society. To conclude, parenting style is an important factor in visually impaired child's development. Socio-emotional development of the visually impaired child is influenced by the type of parenting style used in families. Parents, teachers, and the mental health professionals must give more importance to the parenting styles, and the society has to sort out steps to aware the parents regarding its importance. Thank you, students.